Okay, welcome back to the channel. A rather brisk morning here, and as you saw in the intro, some pretty memorable footage from this trip. I'm throwing the largest swim baits I own thus far for Fluke, and the first one is the DRT Klash 9, a 9-inch 4-ounce bait shown here next to the tiny Klash, which is literally half its mass at 2 ounces. Now obviously throwing 4-ounce plus payloads requires some specialized gear, and here's an odd choice that worked out perfectly for my purposes. The Megabass Valkyrie World Expedition, a 6'6" extra heavy 3-piece travel rod. I have it paired to the new Tatula 300, PE2 X-Braid, and 18-pound Sunline Sniper leader. As always, everything I'm using in this video and others are listed and linked in the description below. So here I'm fishing the Klash 9 the same way I fished the tiny Klash, lip in, tail up in mode A, and I'm dead walking the bait with very small rod tip inputs, more like working a finesse walking bait than a jerkbait. Now Megabass makes the same rod in a 4-piece 7'11" configuration with the same lure ratings, but somehow I feel that rod wouldn't respond as readily to this kind of delicate tip work. In any case, this is a very glass-heavy composite blank, and when it comes to big moving bait rod tapers, I don't think anyone does it better than Megabass. I can launch 4 ounces with no issue, yet the rod loads to the hilt on 2-pound fish, exactly what you want to see on a rod meant for big treble hook hard baits. Okay, first keeper at 22 inches. I know the K9 makes these fish look smaller than they are, but all healthy keepers that day, as you'd expect for fish eating a 9-inch swim bait. Now there's a lot of snappers in the water and some of them are approaching this size, though I say the tiny Klash will match the hatch a little bit better at least right now. Some fluke are definitely feeding on the tons of rain bait and micro peanuts I see in the water, but the ones I'm after are most likely hunting the snappers feeding on the smaller bait. Now hopefully you guys saw that fish follow the K9 in. This happens a lot when you throw bigger baits. Some will follow it in and eat it, many will turn away at the last second as you'll see, but a huge caloric meal struggling as if injured, that's something most predatory fish have no choice but to come and investigate. Drawing power is a real thing, and a fluke that won't break cover for a 4-inch spearing will do so for a 10-inch snapper. You'll see this in freshwater and saltwater across many species of game fish. The larger your presentation, the more big fish will break cover and show themselves following these baits in. keeper? Yeah, I didn't bother measuring that fish, but it could have been a keeper. Hard to tell when the bait is literally half their size. Now, as always, you should have your de-hooking tool of choice on your person while fishing. Here, obviously, a pair of pliers since we're dealing with treble hooks, but if I'm jigging, then the unhook 'em tool. Your ruler, your camera, if you want to take pics, all that stuff should be on your body, not 40 feet back with your backpack and picnic gear. We should all try our best to keep release mortality as low as possible, and a big part of that is not keeping fish you plan on releasing on dry sand for longer than necessary. Okay, tiny bit of housekeeping. All the Dart 79 jerkbait orders were shipped last week. Thank you everyone once again for the business. I plan on having one last drop of the Dart 79s coming up in a week or two, so please follow me on Instagram for that announcement. All the blades are restocked for now as well, and a shameless plug that happens to be true. Hard baits and flashy things are going to catch you fish from here until the end of the season. And there you go. You can't convert all of them into biting. If you go back to that last follower that decided to eat, a lucky wave sucked both my bait and that fish back for just a split second, letting me add a few more dead wogs and giving that fish an extra second or two to make up its mind. Now this last fish, I simply ran out of room to trigger into biting. And there's another nice keeper. Now yes, treble hooks cause some superficial damage, inline single hooks likely won't. But let me repeat myself from previous videos and podcasts. I've lost more fish to inline singles and jig hooks than I ever did to treble hook plugs. Now what happens is when a fluke vacuums in your bait, treble hooks will find a way to catch something on the way in. Single hooks are far likelier to end up deep in the gullet or nicking a gill raker. I've yet to lose a single fish to treble hooks, and I doubt that will happen with a 9-inch swim bait sporting number 1 gammies. Okay, a bait change at this point. Now this is the double H MIR, the full size MIR, not the junior, and this is a true glide bait. It doesn't have a lip, and the way I work it is entirely with the reel handle. Short chops followed by slack to let it glide freely left and right. The MIR weighs 3.5 ounces, and I tuned both the MIR and the K9 to a dead slow float on 18 or 20 pound fluoroliter. The MIR and MIR Juniors are probably the best beginner's glide baits I've come across. They have a very easy fluid glide that is completely predictable. In other words, you don't need to see it to know exactly what it's doing. That's not the case with most other glide baits. Take the Klash 9 in glide mode for instance. If you can't see that bait, chances are you are messing up the cadence. It will roll and glide short, and unless you have your inputs timed perfectly, it will often tangle itself in the leader. Just a very finicky glide bait compared to the MIR, which holds a glide and keeps the trajectory longer than any other glide bait I've seen on the market, requiring very little brain input to use, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah, that was a classic eat right up over that lip. And notice how I'm not really fighting any of these fish. I set the hook, keep that line tight, and just grind them in. Unlike jerkbaits or crankbaits where you really have to fight them out, with big swim baits, you don't want them to use 4 ounces of weight as leverage when they head shake. The longer the fight, the higher the chance they will throw that hook. Most of these fish don't start fighting until they're out of the water, which is exactly how it should be with big baits and big treble hooks. Okay, I hope you found that entertaining. I think by now I've fully proven the fact that fluke are just flat versions of freshwater bass, and big swim baits are just another technique that translates well between the species. And guys, now is the time to get out for fluke. Anyone thinking that Aaron or any other storm will push them out early, you're wrong. Not when it comes to the shoreline migration of these fish. Anyway, tight lines, and I'll catch you on the next one.